What's going on, family? Hope you guys are doing good. Over here enjoying my day of rest. Um, haven't forgotten about y'all. Still working out, still grinding, still about God's mission. Still doing it, And so, really enjoying this day of rest. And yeah, I was reading something earlier today and caused me to think about a few things. And I think this is, whether you're a believer or non-believer, this much is true. We would both agree that love is the answer. Now, what love looks like, well, I guess that's up for debate. What love does and how it is expressed and received, I guess that's up for debate. But thinking about just people in my life, interactions that I've had with both believers and non-believers, and there's one thing over the years that I've grown to see is the fact that individuals are so comforted when you don't treat them differently because of their sin. Now, I know some of my Christian brothers and sisters are going to kind of start making faces. What do you mean by that? Are you saying we're not supposed to call out sin? Are you supposed to say we're not supposed to, tell people when they're wrong? That's totally not the case. And if that's the first thing you're trying to do, well, then maybe you might want to re-examine the scriptures as to how Jesus corrected sin, as to how Jesus addressed sin and who he addressed it to, and so on and so forth. But with that said, I want to read a portion of scripture to you and draw out some observations that hopefully you would seek to apply within your own life. And again, if you are a follower of the Messiah, Jesus the Christ, then my heart for you and my prayer at the end of this video is that you would examine your own heart as to how you respond to individuals who are broken over sin, and how you allow them to either confess or how you approach them with regards to the things that they struggle with. So anywho, John 8:1. But Jesus went to the Mount of Olives. Early in the morning he came again to the temple, and all the people came to him, and he sat down and he taught them. The scribes and the Pharisees brought a woman who had been caught in the act of adultery. She was screwing around with another woman's husband. And placing her in the midst, right in the center of everybody, putting her out on blast, they said to him, "Teacher, this woman has been caught in the act of adultery. Now, in the law of Moses, he commanded us to stone such a woman. What do you say?" What would you do in that scenario? What would you do in that scenario? Would you stone her according to the law? Would you, out of the act of being on the opposite side of certain things, be overly loving and accepting and not want to offend anybody? How would you address it? So what do you say? Scripture says that they told him this to test him, that they might find some charge to bring against him. They're trying to set him up. But Jesus bent down and wrote with his finger on the ground. And as they continued to ask him, he stood up and he said to them, "Let him who is without sin among you be the first to throw a stone at her." And once more he bent down and he wrote on the ground. But when they heard it, they went away one by one, beginning with the older ones, and Jesus was left alone with the woman standing before him. Now Jesus stood up and said to her, "Woman, where are they? Has no one condemned you?" She said, "No one, Lord." And Jesus said, "Neither do I condemn you. Go from now on and sin no more." There are people in our lives who commit heinous acts. Many of them do so, if you're coming from a Christian worldview, which I believe, and where I'm coming from and what the scripture says, you are a slave to sin. There's no way you could shake this thing by yourself, in of yourself. You need God to empower you to obey and to deny and to flee and to run away from that sin. For the Christian, we often see sin and just want to address it immediately. We want to check it. We want to correct. We want to rebuke. But how often have you gone to someone who out of shame won't say that they're wrestling with anything, out of shame and fear of how you might perceive them or how people might perceive them? How have you gone to them and let them know, hey, I know your mess. I know what you struggle with. I know the things that you're doing. And I don't want to dismiss you. I don't want to treat you like a leper. I don't want to cast you off. I want to walk alongside you. And I want to help you. I want to help you. I want to encourage you throughout this journey. I don't want you to do this and fight this on your own. I want to show you and share with you who can empower you to fight this thing. And I want you to know that you have family here to back you up. How often have you done that? And if individuals can't approach you with their sin, or they can't confess the things that they're struggling with, is it because you come off judgmental? Is it because you yourself are an individual that would rather pick up the stones or call out sin? No, it has to be addressed. Yes, it does. But in a loving manner. Just remember, we who believe in Jesus still struggle with sin. We're not rid of this thing by any way. In any way are we rid of sin. And so when I look at Jesus, he was a friend to sinners. And he corrected sinners who came off self-righteous. He was a friend to sinners, and he rebuked and corrected strongly those sinners who were self-righteous. Let's be that individual who will not only allow individuals to confess their sin, but when individuals run and out of shame do not tell us what they're struggling with, pursue them and give them an open door and let them know, hey, I know what you're dealing with. I know you committed adultery. Hey, I know you cussed somebody out. Hey, I know you got a prison record. I know you used to do drugs. I know you struggle with all these things. I want to help you. I want to walk with you. And family, there's risk to that. But for the individual who receives it, for the individual who genuinely begins to open up, and as you give proper solutions, the first being Jesus, being the answer, gradually you'll see these individuals become healed. Their wounds will be mended. They'll be able to trust individuals, people, the church again. And you'll find that person will then continue what you started in him and be an open ear to somebody else who was struggling with the same things they once were. Love you guys. I hope that ministered to you. Pray for me on this day off. Trying to enjoy it. Still got a lot of things to tackle. But Lord willing, I got tomorrow off. And then I will be hitting the gym again. I believe it's Wednesday. So pray for your boy. And man, if you'd love to get up, talk, chat it all, let me know. Hit me inbox. Peace.